Hello and welcome to NIAGA Spotlight with me, Tehmina Kaoosji. NIAGA Spotlight takes us to the week in economic analysis as well as future affairs. And now, this week on analysis, Spotlight is clearly on Malaysia's office space reinvention. Now, to set that all within the frame also of the recent Budget 2026, it actually did set the tone for more disciplined, sustainability-driven economy. The next big shift, of course, will be a carbon tax rollout in 2026, which will actually be making retrofitting and reusing of existing buildings far more valuable than tearing down and rebuilding from scratch. For Malaysia's property sector, that is a turning point and a very interesting one. Incentives such as the Green Investment Tax Allowance, GITA, extended until the end of 2026, now reward energy-efficient upgrades and ESG-compliant assets as well, exactly where innovation in workspace design is also taking place. Now, there's also JLL's latest data showing that Kuala Lumpur's office vacancy eased to about 19% as tenants are also gravitating towards higher quality, flexible spaces. We're looking at reinvention, not so much rent cuts as a new strategy. So today, taking all of that into consideration, on NIAGA Spotlight, we're exploring how two key players within this space are turning underperforming square footage into ESG-aligned, revenue-generating value. Welcome to the studios today, Stephanie Ping, CEO and co-founder of WORQ, to discuss WORQ's upcycled co-working model, together with Phang Sau Lian, Senior General Manager of Sunway Malls, Kuala Lumpur, with more about Sunway Malls' asset as ecosystem strategy. A very good morning to the both of you. Thank you so much for making time.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Wonderful. So Stephanie and Phang, I will get started with the discussion perhaps by referring first to Stephanie to tell us a little bit more, spacing this within the scaling versus saturation arena. So when it comes to WORQ's plans, you're going big guns, around 450,000 square feet of co-working space by the end of this year, which is very soon. We're already in Q4. And you're also looking towards managing around 1 million square feet by 2030. So of course, looking at Klang Valley office vacancy rates, how are you evaluating risk within this space?
Well, I think when it comes to saturation, we are really not quite there yet at all, because this is at the infancy. I wouldn't say it's infancy, but it's, maybe toddler stage of the industry at the moment. Because if you look at the numbers, our penetration rate in Malaysia at the moment is probably about, last I checked, was 1% by now, maybe more than 1%. And a lot of the average penetration rate in the Asian cities are at 3%, at current rates 3+, and it could go up to 10% quite easily. And so we have a long way to go. So in terms of having oversaturation, I wouldn't say we're really worried about that at all. And we've got a lot of space to grow into. If you notice, we're very disciplined. We will definitely go to the other cities, but we are still only in KL, because in KL, there's still a long way to go of building even more spaces, which is where that 1 million square feet number is coming in. We're actually now, if my numbers are right, then if not the biggest, then one of the biggest here in Malaysia. So even at that stage, there's still a lot to go to. This side of town in Bukit Jalil, we don't have any. And a lot of other parts of Klang Valley as well. So I wouldn't say saturation is that much of a problem as of yet.
So not really a problem as of yet, but also still staying relatively conservative for the immediate long term, because we're looking at Klang Valley still, right?
We're actually looking at other cities, and when we say other cities, we don't just mean Penang and Johor. Right. We also talk about, what do you call it, Ipoh, even smaller towns, Malacca, or even Kuantan. We go wherever there are entrepreneurs, wherever there are businesses, and our model will fit into those cities as well. It's just that because there's still so much more to go in Klang Valley, then why not just continue to expand into that market, which comes to my point of like penetration rate in terms of it having to at saturation rate. It's not there yet. And that's where things are in terms of the office market for us.
Fantastic. So I think this is a perfect segue actually, Phang, to go dig deep into Sunway Malls' approach and the fact that also Sunway Malls has started now integrating solidly co-working into your mall assets. And how was this organically, in a sense, also came to fruition in the post-pandemic return to work time frame that you were mentioning as well?
Okay. Probably let me start off with some of the numbers from this NAPIC, the National Property Information Center. Recently, they have released the latest quarter report. It shows that for Malaysia shopping malls industry, there is about 20% vacancy in the malls or commercial buildings. Total occupancy is average is about 80%. So that's 20% vacancy. So that's why for shopping malls, I think this is a good repositioning strategy to fill up the vacancy. So that's why co-working space actually is a good strategy to fill up those vacancy or underutilized space, including those space like while waiting for the next enhancement project, transitional occupation period. So it's a good fill up. It's to help us to fill up the gap of this occupancy in the mall. And on top of that, it will help to generate revenue because it's a business model. Whether it's a fixed rental or a revenue sharing, there'll be an income rather than leaving it vacant. So on top of that, the most important is the footfall that
absolutely.
The
there's a lot of footfall erosion as well.
Yeah, you have to bring in the
shopping,
footfall.
more malls.
Correct. We need more footfall to the mall because nowadays the online shopping is very competitive. So that's why for physical brick and mortar mall, we need footfall, physical footfall. So co-working space can help to bring in footfall. And on top of that, spend. They activate the space and at the same time also can generate more sales activity in the mall.
Exactly. So it's sounding like there is also the positioning of co-working spaces as being a sort of a weekday engine inside a weekend asset where, of course, all malls are crowded, people want to come out and take their leisure time. So these kind of performance indicators, which Sunway Malls has also been tracking because of the work component. Can you tell us perhaps a little more in detail, like what kind of time do people actually spend their dwelling time while they're inside the mall, which may be related actually to the co-working spaces activity?
For Sunway's property, most of our development is an integrated model. It comes with shopping malls, commercial, office, residential, all this. So that's why as of today, we have two locations with WORQ. One is at the Sunway Velocity TWO office building, and the other one is at our Sunway Putra Mall inside the mall. So it has been working very well because it helped to drive footfall, activate the underutilized space, and we can track because we do have this shoppers tracking system to track how many people coming in. And if I look at the performance of work in our property, currently I think the occupancy was quite good. I think above 88%, close to 90% is very full.
That is very promising.
Yeah,
good to hear,
fact,
good to hear.
And we are very happy because I think there's room for future expansion. For shopping malls, usually space is quite limited.
Yes.
So, but again, most of our integrated townships are actually well connected to office tower. So that also allowed the future expansion from mall to the office building. Yeah. Yes. And also our development is also very close to the transport hub.
LRT hubs, etc.
Yeah, so I think it's also one of the probably important factors for WORQ to consider because it's very convenient for all these gate workers to come.
It's like how Ms. Phang said, it's an integrated development. So even though in the Sunway Velocity location, we are in the office space, we work with the mall side, her team at the mall, to have partnerships with the retailers over there to bring in the community both to the building, discounts for the food retailers, for our customers and so forth. So it's actually very, even in the way we work with each other as landlord and as a tenant or a partner, it's very integrated in how we do business with each other.
Exactly, because it's also about shifting the idea around malls as a place to buy things, but also as a place that people just are at. place to be, right?
Yeah.
So all of these value activators that a partner like WORQ brings in, we're talking about the fact that you are able to have these kind of agreements with existing property owners who are already on board. What would be perhaps the value proposition to those who are more conservative when it comes to thinking about their empty retail spaces, but perhaps what would you pitch them if you wanted them to get on board?
Well, I mean, I think this is a test case to see whether it is something that is viable. And you've heard Ms. Phang said that there's expansion opportunity, which means it works. And we track that with, you know, Sunway and our other existing landlords that we have this program with. And ultimately what they see is the hard aspect and the soft aspect. Yeah. The hard aspect is very simple. We increase the yield or the rental per square feet for them in that space by way of a kind of financial agreement that they, you know, invest something into the space, but they expect to get a return that is above what they normally would get. So we would pay
because you're taking up a considerable amount of square footage as well.
Yes. At the same time, because you're also investing into the what it takes to build out that space, they expect to get sort of higher yield in a sense.
True.
And that's what we do give the landlord. So in terms of increasing the financial payback to them, that's an easy one. But at the same time as well, what they see is that we increase the footfall. And these are not just footfall being people going into the mall to spend money and use it. These are people who, once they're in there, they become friends, business connections. They actually have a whole localized community over there, which is very robust and help people become successful in their business. And that attracts the community in the vicinity to come to their mall, gives it a brand. This is where you go to meet people, like a rukun tetangga for businesses.
Sure.
And it doesn't just bring in local community, it brings in, I would say, from all four corners of the world, because if you go to Ms. Phang's mall, I say it's kind of her mall. She takes so much ownership. It's like her baby.
Very cosmopolitan,
Very
right?
cosmopolitan. It's it used to be, I hang out at that mall. I love that mall. And a lot of our team goes to that mall. And it's a mall that is really, really good for the local people who is wanting a whole range of experience at their price point as well. Nowadays, though, we see when we're in that space, we hear a lot of accents from all over the world in our space. And these are the digital nomads who have now discovered this mall as a place that they want to be and want to hang out in because there's a community there. So we're bringing the whole foreign, international crowd into this space when it used to be super robust as a mall for the locals. And now there's a whole mix of another crowd, which is the digital nomads really love it. And I would like to call it like a mini Bali over there. With all these people like clacking and working, making income from other sources, but then calling it a home because of the trains, because of the eateries, because of all that stuff there. But
still situated spatially in Malaysia. Fantastic, Stephanie.
So probably I also would like to add on to this. I mean, actually two more value that can be added from this is actually for the co-working workers or the entrepreneurs or professionals there. They will find our place is like they can find work-life balance because they can just after work they can just go down to the mall for karaoke or for movie and for dining, all these experiences. And one very important point is also in the mall we do have a lot of the pop and mom store. All these small retailers.
Who's been there for decades
they don't
sometimes.
have all this vast experience in all kinds of functions. So they are very much focused on their sales activities. But today with all these online competitions, I think if they are not improving, their business will be struggling. So I think with the co-office space just nearby, it actually can complement their business model. I mean, imagine this pub and mom store, if they don't know how to do social media marketing, they can actually find all this support from freelancers, all these small entrepreneurs where they can work together and grow their business. I think this is another ready, I would say the ready workforce available in a mall to support all these pop and mom retailers.
Yeah, footfall with connection.
Yeah. Footfall with connection. I love the idea of that. So thank you so much for the conversation so far. We take a very quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back with the rest of looking, of course, at reinventing Malaysia's commercial spaces in just a tick on NIAGA Spotlight. Welcome back to NIAGA Spotlight, still with me, Tehmina Kaoosji, and today, of course, we are discussing a very pertinent topic in light of course, the Budget 2026 announcements, looking at Malaysia's office space reinvention, together with Stephanie Peng from WORQ and Phang Sau Lian of Sunway Malls, Kuala Lumpur. So Phang, I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into looking at operational alignment, when, of course, traditionally the mix was more towards your stronghold, F&B, retail, entertainment, and that kind of lease stability. So what kind of SOPs or structures do you have in space now to ensure that it's still all aligned, even with newer, more invigorated leasehold tenants like WORQ, for example?
Few things that we need to focus when we decided to work with a co-office space, because mall operate from 10 to 10, 12 hours a day. But for co-working space, I believe it's 24 hours.
24
Your members
hours.
may come back to office anytime.
And that's the hook, right?
Correct.
At least for the co-working spaces.
So that's why we have to look into the locations, the accessibility. So it will be ideal if we can have a direct access. That means for from the co-working office space, they don't need to go through, their members don't have to go through the
main
mall
entrance.
From car park to the mall, then go to the their office space. If we can have a direct access, for example, the lift access from the external or from the car park directly to the space near the office, I think that would be ideal. Of course, also because of this odd working hours, so we can't provide the aircon system 24 hours. So what we need to do is we will advise WORQ to have their own AHU units or their own aircon split unit system. So it will allow flexibility. Because otherwise there will be a lot of wastage in terms of all this electricity. So other than that, it's like toilet have to be nearby so that they won't loiter around midnight, late night kind of things, housekeeping, and also beside of all these operational things that we need to consider, another thing is very important is, one is on the financial business model. A lot of time we work on revenue sharing. So we have to make sure that they do well so that we also can enjoy a better revenue. So we have to work together in terms of marketing collaborations, in terms of their branding, their signages in the mall. So we have to make sure that it's prominent so that people know how to go to them, go to their workspace, and we work together. So hopefully they can get 100% occupancy, and they also help us to improve our overall footfall.
Exactly. So actually a lot of thought goes into making it quite as seamless as it is for the end customer, who are the co-workers and then those who spill out into mall to access services. Stephanie, from there I'd like to go into talking a little bit more about tenant mix as well and resilience. So the co-working world has also learned quite a lot that it's really important to focus on more of a healthy mix. And given WORQ's now network of roughly about 10 or so outlets, what is your current occupancy and tenant mix breakdown, if you wouldn't mind giving us a snapshot?
Yeah. I mean, I think we started with the smaller companies. We started with actually a lot of startups, then we have a lot of freelancers, then we go, have a very strong base with the SMEs. Currently, we have about 70%, we call it enterprises, which are large teams, large companies, and 30% SME. But I believe in the future, we will move back towards a 50-50% mix, with a lot of it being the smaller guys or smaller teams. And I think that's very robust because ultimately what we supply to a lot of landlords are the small teams and the small companies that otherwise they would not have as a tenant mix in their building. We're there to service, it takes a lot more servicing with the smaller teams and smaller companies. They want a huge community aspect, which we have. They want to meet people, they want to collaborate because they're smaller, they have less resources.
Sure.
So they tend to play off of each other and kind of band together to do businesses, deals and business together. So that's a lot of investment into the community aspect. And that's what makes them so loyal to us. But it takes a long time to build that community. Like even throughout COVID, when things were hard for that segment,
right.
We would financially help them and pour money back into the business so they would survive during that time. They thank us post-COVID by coming back to us because they have this loyalty to us now, which took many years to build. But that when we have this loyalty and this community, it brings more of them because they talk, there's word of mouth. And so when it comes to the smaller teams, I think that's a huge kind of segment for the landlords that they would like to service, but it's too much for them to do because they have a lot more that they have to worry about in their property. So having to just partner with us is an easy way to do it because the partnership is really seamless for the landlord. It's really one agreement, a very small budget of their enhancement plan or their renovation budget, and they get to have all the good stuff about our business, which is the spillover effect, the increased rental, but they don't need to do the headache, which is the work and the servicing and the business model of all that. And they basically get this business to be part of it, to make some money from it, and also all the spillover effects to their building. So it's kind of a no-brainer to enter in the new market for them and also have that stickiness in their building.
Exactly. And it was also interesting that you mentioned that you do foresee perhaps the enterprise mix will go down to a little lower so that it's a 50-50. So does that also mean that you generally envision enterprises going back into more traditional office spaces?
So when I say percentage, I don't mean enterprise will come to us less. I just mean the whole pie of people using co-working spaces will increase, and the enterprise will increase, the SMEs will increase, but the percentage will probably swing back to 50% SMEs and 50% large companies, just because SMEs are such a strong base for us and such a strong base for Malaysia's economy as well. Enterprises, of course, is amazing for us. After we have gone into SMEs, the enterprises came to us because they want to be near to the SMEs. They want to be near to all these little teams.
In a very non-traditional manner that actually speeds up work.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
From there, Phang, I'd love to actually have you discuss a little more in detail Sunway's live, learn, work, play model, because this is possibly one of the best ways in which it is actualized. Tell us more.
Yeah, actually the co-working spaces actually help us to support the work pillar that we mentioned just now, the live, learn, work and play. And the rest is actually they help us to fill up the entire ecosystem in a mall. How they do that? Because, for example, like just like Sunway, is also part of our missions to nurture young entrepreneurship, like what Stephanie mentioned just now. We work closely with our Sunway University. We have iLab, we have X-Farm. All this is actually help to cultivate all this young entrepreneurship and also this creative or sustainable business idea. So what we did is actually we work together, and this is also aligned with our Sunway SDG commitment. Our commitment to the economic growth, especially on the gig economy and also the lifelong learning. Because through this collaboration, we actually work a lot on the learning program, especially on the digital innovations.
Absolutely. So it does seem like the way in which it has been planned out, it is bearing fruit in under 5 years, which of course, would you be looking to actually collating perhaps more pilot studies or even data that can then perhaps help inform other Sunway property decisions around the country and maybe not just restricted to Klang Valley?
Yes, yes. I think if Stephanie worked there willing to explore outside the Klang Valley, I think we will have a lot of business opportunity again. Right now in our Sunway Malls, most of our malls occupancy already above 95%. Some is actually 99%, close to 100%. So that's why. But one thing is we do have office tower, so we can work together. A small satellite node in the mall and the bigger office space in the office tower. This is something that we can work together in outside our Klang Valley property developments as well.
Yeah, I think when she mentioned partnerships, I think that's like really how we think of it. When we go into her building or any landlord's building, we start to take on the mindset that's our building as well. We have a sign there to tell everyone that we're there so that they come for meetings, for events, and then the success of that mall is really the success part of our success, and then we would have a lot of partnerships with the other retailers in order to have cross-functional, like, you know, promotion and things like that. So really part of her community as well as she's part of our community.
Absolutely. And also then perhaps to land the conversation nicely, in conclusion, Stephanie, so also one of your differentiators as WORQ is about upcycled co-working. Tell us a little more about this, especially within the context of all things green, sustainability, and the fact that even as a country, we're now even moving towards firm budgetary benefits and incentives for this arena.
Yeah, so I mean, two things. One is on the ESG angle. We're on all the train lines and we've collected on the train lines. And the reason for this is definitely on the ESG angle because people start taking trains to work now instead of cars. When we surveyed our customers, 50% of them has now started taking trains as their primary mode of transportation to work instead of cars. And a lot of people cite that the reason why they choose to be employed by the companies in our spaces is that they want to use the trains. So we're talking about a huge change in people's behavior, and not even about, you know, the discussion of should we change from normal car to EV cars. I'm talking about getting cars off the road entirely. People walk to work, take the trains, and that's, I would say, is a very big driver of how the behavior of people will move towards an ESG kind of environment. The other thing would be that, especially with this site, with Ms. Phang in Sunway Putra, it's an upcycled site in that sense. It was an old, another space, and we did not do a lot of demolition work. We reused what was in there. We used the thought to kind of re-change and update the space to be what it is today. And as a result, we spent 70% less capital expenditure on the space, saving money, saving materials, and we made it into what it is today, which people appreciate, especially digital nomads really like that story.
It resonates, of course, with the overall sustainability element of work style.
That's
fantastic.
Right.
Stephanie, as well as Phang, thank you so much for this most interesting conversation that helps actually anchor us around really new realities for the working crowd and also for those who are now frequenting malls. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Malaysia's office market isn't shrinking, it's actually shedding its old skin, and the winners will be those who are treating this space as an ecosystem, not just a standardized lease. Well, that's all we have time for today on NIAGA Spotlight with me, Tehmina Kaoosji, discussing the office space reinvention all around Malaysia. Here's to a productive week ahead.